Guys, we made it to day 11. We just have 3 days left, before we're done. Well, after today, you have 3 days left, but I'm really excited about having you guys here, and following through the series and everything. This has been really, really phenomenal, and it's been awesome. Once again, just a quick, um, you know, notice for everyone. This is a series for event planners, right? We're producing something for event planners now. We found that you guys are our longest term watchers of this channel, so we wanted to do something special for you through this series. If you watch this whole, if you browse through the playlist that this series is in, I guarantee you will find at least one topic that speaks to you, if not all of them, right? So make sure you go through that, no matter what level of experience you are in your business. Like, this is value for you, and we're excited to have you here. And this is our thank you for being part of this channel and all of that. Now, if you're not an event planner and you're like, oh my gosh, is this all of a sudden a channel for event planners? No, it's not. It's a channel for everyone. Event planners, for brides and grooms, also for corporations looking to hire someone for their upcoming events. It's for all of you, right? This series just happens to be for event planners. So we have a lot of other inspiring content on our channel already for you to watch, and we have more coming. So please make sure you stay subscribed, and we'll be sharing that with you. Now, today's topic is a Q&A. I'm going to be answering a few commonly asked questions and some questions that were submitted. I'm really excited to get into those, and make sure you get answers to those. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Faye Shala. I am the owner of Statuesque Events. This is our office in the DC metro area. Although we're based here, we service events all around. We've gone as far up as Connecticut, as far south as Texas or Florida, whichever one's further. We've done California, and we have events overseas coming up. So we produce events just about anywhere, and we love what we do. In addition to that, I'm also a coach to event planners through our program, Planners Who Profit. We love helping experienced event planners to unlock new levels of profit and revenue in their business. And we do that through our coaching program, as well as Planners Who Profit Live, which is coming up this April in Miami, Florida. To learn more about free and paid resources, whether you're planning an event, planning a wedding, or you're an event planner yourself, all that's in the description box. So make sure you check that out. All right. I'm also going to be talking about some more resources as an answer to one of the questions that I got. And so the links for that are going to be in the description as well. So the description is super juicy today. So make sure you check that out. Okay. Now, the first question that I get a lot is, where do I find high-end clients? Where do I find clients who are willing to, pay me $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 or more for my event planning service, right? Like, I don't know where to find them. I think there's two sides to this question. Number one, sometimes I get this question from people who only have a Facebook page. You don't have a website, you don't have Instagram, you only have a Facebook page, and you're wondering, where do I find clients? It's not on your Facebook page, right? Facebook pages have been, I don't want to say dying. You can still keep it, but that being your main storefront is not a great thing. Most of the people who spend the majority of their time on Facebook are like, I was going to say 40 and above, but I think even sometimes older than that, right? So I think that a lot of people in that age some people are getting married in that age, but a lot are not, right? A lot of your target market is going to be between like late 20s to like probably late 30s, right? Is what you're looking at. So you want to make sure you're on a platform that people are using. Also, Facebook is continuing to deprioritize Facebook pages in the algorithm in general. And lastly, let's not forget that it just doesn't look professional, right? If you're asking someone to give you $8,000 to plan their event, or even $5,000, but you haven't even invested in a website for your own business, it's like they're investing more in you than you're investing in you. Sometimes you kind of have to show up investing in yourself. The same way that, a lot of times when people get that new big job, they go buy a fancy suit. They buy things to make themselves, or even when you're interviewing, right? You want to make sure you're showing up looking like, I'm investing in myself, right? And I expect you to invest in me as well. And so, first of all, a website doesn't even cost that much. Both in our PWP Foundations program and in our Accelerator program, we have a whole module on how you could build your website in a weekend, right? If you're moving slow, if you got a lot of demands on your time, like you have like a lot of children activities and other things coming up, you should be able to get it done in 2 to 3 weeks, literally. Like, how you can get it done and have a beautiful website done in that amount of time, probably spending a couple $100s at the most for between your URL and hosting. That everybody should be able to do that. Now, the reason you're probably getting stuck is that you don't have guidance and don't know which way to go, which is where the module comes in, right? Signing up for our foundations if you're a beginner, or joining the accelerator if you're more seasoned. But you should have that. Like, I think that we have to, as we're leveling up, we cannot expect other people to invest more in us than we're investing in our own selves, right? So you got to make sure that you look polished enough, because people at that level have options. You're saying, oh, just go to my Facebook page and look at my recent posts, where someone else has a website and a brochure and it looks beautiful and it's cohesive. And they can, it's like, let me go with this person. They seem to be more organized. They seem to have everything put together. Even though you may be great at what you do, you still got to be able to show up that way. So that's one. The other person who normally asks this question is someone who's getting who is maybe getting a mix of leads. Like, maybe you get 10 leads, and out of those 10 leads, one of them is an ideal client, and like 9 of them have like a super tight budget, or for other reasons are not an ideal client. Maybe some of them are confused and thought you were a florist, but you're an event planner, right? Like, for different reasons, are just not a good client. I would say in that case, the truth of the matter is that you got to do two things. Number one, you have to increase the quality of your website, the quality of all of your stuff, your website, Instagram, Facebook, if you have it, whatever, your public profiles. Make sure everything looks refined, to increase the quality of what you're attracting. But then a lot of times the problem is also the quantity of what you're attracting. Right? The truth is that as you level up, you're going to attract everybody. You're going to attract everybody. Like, everybody wants to work with the event planner who produces phenomenal events over and over and over again, right? A lot of people literally don't know that weddings cost more than $15,000. I remember when I really started to get the hang of SEO and stuff, I had an inquiry where someone um, inquired about and at the time I had prices on my website, and which is an optional thing. I should probably create a whole nother video about whether or not you should put prices on your website. But I had prices on my website, and the person saw that my price was, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000, whatever it was at that point. And in the inquiry, it said, does the $5,000 include the venue and the food and all this stuff? Like, they literally thought that my price was the price for the whole wedding, right? For like 200 people. A lot of people, I mean, because first of all, $5,000 is money. It is real money, right? Spending 20,000 on an entire event, it's money, right? It's real money that somebody has to come up with and spend. So, I think that a lot of times you just kind of have to understand that, and understand that people see things on Instagram without any context of what it costs. So you're going to attract people who saw something beautiful on Instagram and thought you could produce an entire wedding for 300 people for $5,000, right? That doesn't mean that you're wrong, as long as you are also attracting people, right, who are at the level that you're already producing at, and at least a few who are a step ahead, right? So you can keep stepping up year after year in the quality of events that you're doing. So that I found works best when you're getting an influx of leads. Like, I believe that you should be getting a lot of leads. Like, I remember one of our previous clients asked me, like, in the year that you first broke into, 6 figures, how many inquiries did you get? And I was like, I have no idea. I know it's a lot. So I went back and did the research, and I found that we got over 200 inquiries that year. I'm not saying you need 200 inquiries. We've had clients go to 6 figures within a matter of months, right? I don't think that they got 200 inquiries in that matter of months, but you need a lot. If you're trying to do 10 events, you need more than 10 or even 20 or even 30 inquiries. You should be getting a lot. You really should be getting inquiries pretty much every week, or at least a couple a month. Like, you need at least 4 times what you want to do. I say at least 100 a year is a sweet spot, because at that point, you're more likely to find people who are willing to make the investment, right? And who are ready to, who can afford it, who you want to work with, who fit within what you want to do, who actually understand that you're an event planner and not a florist. Like, you're more likely to find those people. And so that's where you want to go. There's no magic pill to only get clients with money and let go of those who don't. Like, there are a lot of people who believe that 20,000 is enough for a luxury wedding. And believe it or not, there are people out there with 200,000 to spend and not sure if that constitutes a luxury wedding. Everybody has their own idea, right, of what that amount means. So just throwing luxury doesn't automatically filter out the people, right, who can't really afford your services. So I think that it's important to understand that there's no magic pill to filter out people who can't afford it or who aren't a good fit. But the goal is to make sure you're getting enough of the people who are a good fit and nurturing them. And then also having a qualification process where you are gently redirecting people who are not a good fit, right? And working that way through. So we talk about all those things in our sales modules, at our events and in our program. But that's essentially what that looks like. I think that the challenge there is you just got to make sure you're getting enough of the right people, and don't be discouraged when the wrong person comes in. Like, I mean, Mercedes doesn't feel bad if someone walks in and wants a Mercedes for 20 grand and they don't have one. They just say, hey, we don't have one. Like, this is where we are. We can show you the options, or maybe in a couple of years, we could talk about it again. Like, they just kind of set the expectation. It doesn't change who you are, right? Just because someone can't afford it. So I think that's something to keep in mind. For those of you guys who are live, please let me know where you're tuning in from. And please let me know if you have any questions. Once I get through the third question, I'm going to wrap up the stream. And don't forget, there's a bit of a lag. So if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat so I can answer it before we end. All right. So the next commonly asked question that I get is, do I need to have tools and systems for my business? Like, do I have to do it? Like I can't tell you how many times people say, well, I don't feel like spending the money on this. Do I have to spend the money on this? Do I have to spend the money on this? The answer is no. You don't have to spend money on anything you don't want to, but it will probably limit your ability to do work quickly. And it may also, affect your client experience if you're trying to do everything in Google Sheets, or if you're trying to do everything that way. I mean, if you can have an amazing client experience while doing that, have at it. But I do think that for what we teach, which is how to have a more profitable business, which is yes, increasing your revenue, yes, increasing how much you can pay yourself, but also increasing how much you make for an hour of active work, right? Which means instead of working 40 hours a week to get a result, maybe working 10 or 20 hours a week to get the same result while still making the same amount of money. That's significantly more profitable effort, for per hour that you're putting in. And sometimes you got to make that a goal as well, because that does one of two things. It either gives you more time to enjoy life, or it's going to give you more time to increase your capacity, right? So now you have more capacity to take on more clients, which then further increases your revenue because you can handle more, right? And tools are definitely cheaper than hiring an assistant. And you also have to know how to actually train an assistant to do the things you want, which is a whole nother story. So the tools that I recommend that at a bare minimum for someone who's experienced, this whole live stream, everything we do is for experienced event planners, right? If you're just starting out, you have 0 clients and it's just an idea, you don't necessarily need to hop on these things yet. PayPal and Google Docs may be a good starting point. We actually include templates to get you started with that in our foundations program, because that may just be better for you. And then once you start getting a couple clients, migrating to a system. But if you're in business, you're moving forward, like these are things you want to move to. And I want to say I've worked with a lot of people who say, oh, well, my process works for me. And then they try my way and they're like, oh my gosh, I saved so much time. I had no idea how much time I would save by doing this, even after hearing me say it. So some of the systems that I recommend, and we have links to them in the description, to most of them in the description. These are things that we recommend that we use. I'm not recommending things we don't use. And also that are going to save time in your business, right? We have specific links that give you extra perks, right? You get extra perks by using our links for these tools. These are tools I've used for a long time. And so last year I started partnering with some of these organizations like, hey, I've been using you guys for like 6-7 years. And I've been talking to my clients about you guys, are you able to give better perks, right, to my audience if they sign up through my link? And so you can find that there. And then I also get credit. They get to see, oh yeah, you are bringing people our way, and just to know that the partnership is 2 ways. So all right, some tools. Number 1 would be Aisle Planner. I recommend Aisle Planner for pretty much everyone, whether you do weddings exclusively, or even if you do weddings and corporate events. Like, I worked on a corporate event last year, and I will never forget the feedback I got from one of the leads that I worked with. She was just like, first of all, you're very organized, like the way you were able to manage all of us. It was a lot of people that I kind of had to like reel in, but not reel in, but kind of like understand their different preferences for the event and then like produce something. So she was like, that was great. But also, I've never seen a tool like what you use, right? I've worked in a lot of organizations. I've worked with a lot of event planners who maybe weren't always as responsive as you, but also like the way that you were able to manage all the logistics in the tool together. Like, I've just never seen anything like it. And I think that like you have to customize it for your corporate events, but for me, it works well for our clients, right? So I think that Aisle Planner is great. It's great for managing your task list, managing your communication with clients, managing the budget so that clients can just see it as opposed to you having to like go calculate their budget every week because they're panicking about what they're spending. There's just so much in there. I actually do have a whole separate training on how to use Aisle Planner. It is on YouTube. It is even embedded on the Aisle Planner website. They liked it so much that they created a whole dedicated blog post about it, right? About how we use Aisle Planner. So yeah, not only is it on YouTube, it is like very much so Aisle Planner approved. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. We have a more detailed one in our accelerator program, but this one gives you like all the basics of what you're going to get out of it. But simply put, it allows you to keep everything in one place. It should streamline your communication so that you're not spending half your time searching for files and the last thing the client said in emails, right? Because emails of course easily start off being about a cake and then turn into being about hair and then turning into being about something else, which makes it so hard to find things later on when you have to reference how we got there. So Aisle Planner is a total game changer. I've loved using them. I've just used them just as a user, somebody who just liked the system for a very, very long time, over 7 years. And I also just like them as people, and partnering with them. So that's high on my list as far as like a tool that everybody should have. Now, the next layer of what I recommend for as far as tools, it kind of depends a little bit. It depends on where you are. If you are, where I was, right? Where I was in business at this particular time, when I first started getting really into tools, we were producing at least 10 events a year, but more likely like 15, sometimes even over 20 events a year while I was still working a demanding IT management job. I really had to streamline my business like crazy, crazy, crazy streamline. And one of the things that helped me so much was starting to use HoneyBook. I joined HoneyBook when it was first created, when it was just an idea, and they were just like, not an idea, but it was like they were ramping people up. Like I joined HoneyBook, and I love it. I will say that it has gotten a lot more features since, and more and more people. I find that more and more people say that it's complicated. I don't find it complicated, but I find that a lot of people find it complicated because there's so many features, which is why I said it depends whether you use this. I do have another option for you. But the thing that I've liked about HoneyBook is that I can have workflows, right? Like instead of just emailing someone and then having to manually email everyone in my pipeline, at some points we could have like 20 people, even more in our pipeline that we're still trying to like, um, you know, get on a call or whatever the case is and follow up with. I actually have created automated email sequences that I send to them to with as reminders. So it does a lot of the heavy lifting so that I don't have to physically remember everything. I can more so like check in once a week and follow up with any loose ends versus it being like, okay, I got to sit here for 2 hours every day following up with each individual person and remember where they are in the pipeline. HoneyBook allows me to do that. It also has stages in the pipeline that keeps things organized already for me. Now, as somebody who was running my business in 3 hours a day, I really needed this because I couldn't spend the whole 3 hours following up with leads. I needed to get work done for my clients. I need to have sales calls. Like I need to do so many other things in that time. And so this helped me to really streamline the follow-up process. And by the way, I do have email templates and I help you customize yours in our accelerator program to, everything I'm saying, like you have the tool and then you have the process, right? We give you the process and all that in our accelerator program, but that is a tool that I strongly recommend if you're like incredibly strapped for time. Like for me, I'm very aggressive about my goals. I was like, I just got to figure out how to do 10 hours of work or eight to 10 hours of work in 3 hours every day. That's just where we're at because for me, failure is not an option. And it's also not an option for me to just give up and focus on this business. I got to figure out how to grow this business to a place, So for me, it was an easy choice. It was an easy yes for me to go with HoneyBook and invest in that. Now, for some of you, if you're like, oh my gosh, technology is overwhelming for me. You already said it sounds complicated. I don't want to touch anything complicated. There's a newer tool that I also love. And honestly, I want to say I love the people. The people here are they are top notch, right? And when you use this tool, they actually give you a dedicated account manager. So you're probably likely to get up and running faster and move through it a lot smoother without needing like, a specialist to set you up and all that type of stuff. Like having to hire a specialist to help you with your setup and customization. You won't need that. You're not as likely to need that if you use Rock Paper Coin. So Rock Paper Coin is for all. It's Rock Paper Coin is not just for event planners, neither is HoneyBook. It's more of the sales side. And Rock Paper Coin is actually excellent because they have the dedicated account manager. Of course, invoicing and all of that. Like it's really, really, really good. The rates are also very competitive as far as the percentage that they take for the percentage that they take per credit card transaction is lower than anywhere I've ever seen. So they are literally taking, I've never seen, there's literally nothing else that exists that is that same price point. So if you're worried about like how much of the credit card payments are coming out, they're a super strong option. They've been around for a few years. They've solidified, like they're really good. They're still building new features. It's just a great time to get in with the tool. So Rock Paper Coin is amazing. We do have a special link with special deals in the chat as well for that. So I strongly recommend that, either Rock Paper Coin or HoneyBook. If you just want to stick with being manual and having people mail you checks or pay you through PayPal, that is an option as well. I don't love it. I don't think it feels as professional maybe, but if that's what you want to do, that is also fine. But if you choose that route, one more tool that I recommended would be Calendly, because HoneyBook has a built-in calendar scheduler, right? I would strongly recommend having a calendar scheduler so that you're not like, oh, do you want to meet on Tuesday? Oh, okay, that doesn't, can we like having like exchanging 20 emails just to get on a call, allowing people to just book through a calendar scheduling link. For me, I consider myself to be a slightly affluent buyer, and I don't do business with people who don't send me calendar links because I just refuse to go back and forth, but to try to find a time to meet. It frustrates me. I don't see why I'm using my time that way. Like if you send me a link, when I have the time, I will click it. I will schedule myself. If I need to reschedule, I'll reschedule myself. I like to just see things move forward versus like just communicating just to communicate. And so I think that that's something to keep in mind, that there are a lot of people like that, and doing that is going to increase things, right? The easier you make it for people to take the next step, the more likely they will. So either Calendly if you're not using HoneyBook, or a system like that. And last but not least, Mary is great. It's definitely not a must-have, but it's a really good nice to have if you're already attracting higher level clients. The link is in the description as well. And this is great for learning how to build 3D renderings. So building 3D renderings of your events is really good. The price is phenomenal. And there is a link to join. If you join via our link, you do also get a special bonus. And of course, there's a free trial as well. All right. So those are the links. IO Planner, if you join through our link, not only do you get a free trial, but you get 25% off your first 3 months. Chances are you're not going to use it for just 1 month. So you get that plus 25% off your first 3 months. HoneyBook, if you join, you get 50% off your first year. That's pretty good, right? Rock, paper, coin. If you join, there's also a special deal there. And with Mary, if you join, you also get your free trial, right, as well. So there's some deals attached to most of these. And I would just go ahead and explore, right, based off of what I said, right? Applies to you. So again, with tools, you have to realize, like, if I'm trying to level up, let me invest in myself. And these investments are small. None of these tools cost $100 or even close to it, right, per month. So these are not huge investments, but they make a world of difference in how polished you look, and also how much time you're saving. Time is everything. We're basically selling time as service providers, right? If you take forever to work with one client, then that you're limiting your capacity. But if you can work with multiple clients with ease without them feeling ignored and all of that stuff, then you're increasing your capacity, and you're also giving yourself more free time to actually enjoy your life. Right. And so that's the goal. The last question that I have that I'm going to answer today is, should I split my floral and event planning business? This is a huge one. And I think I get this a lot. I'm starting to realize I might get this a lot because some of you guys know that I used to do floral design as well as event planning, largely because out of indecision. There was a long time that I didn't know which one I liked more. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think that it's important to know why you're doing what you're doing. I knew that I didn't know which one I liked more. I knew that I wanted to design beautiful events. And I thought the best way to do that would be to be the one physically putting together the flowers and ordering things and all of that. And so I did that for a while. And then I eventually realized that by doing that, I could kind of save my clients a little bit of money, right? So I basically would charge like one flat fee plus the cost of materials for a while. I did that for about a year. And it was a way for me to show to show what I was capable of, right? I didn't do that just to like skimp, but I truly like would like be like, okay, this is my fee, and then like 5,000, $2,000 or whatever it was for your materials. And $2,000 worth of materials is actually kind of a lot when I already have vases and all of that, and produce these gorgeous events on a tight budget that look like 20, 15, $20,000 more expensive than they were. Um, and then I used that with my portfolio to move to the next level. Now, I will say I wore myself out that year doing both. That year that I did that specific approach, I wore myself out. I did a lot of crazy things like buying linen during Black Friday and steaming them myself. And I just did a lot of crazy things that added a lot of effort that I didn't anticipate, like the effort of actually cleaning those linens after the event and the steaming and all of that. So I don't regret it, but I made sure that it was a limited time. I did that for 1 year after I really went hard in Maryland. I moved from New York to Maryland, and I wanted to get more awareness about my business here. And after that, I was done, back to higher end pricing, right? And so that was a strategy that I did for a limited period of time because I did not have another strategy. I did not know any other way to pull myself out of this, right? But I do think that, thankfully, I don't have any clients who've ever had to do that because, like I said, it can be very exhausting. And for most people, I mean, most of my clients have kids, you have other things going on. You don't have like all that time to just be doing all the things, right? In addition to your day job. So for most people, I don't know that I would necessarily recommend my path, but I'm just sharing that this is, yes, it was a strategy for a limited period, but it wasn't a forever thing. The argument that I get all the time is that, well, I want to do both because I want to make more money. But I actually don't know very many people who are doing both, including the people who tell me this, who are even paying themselves anything from the business. Because chances are you're in the same place that I was. You are in the business of bundle and save. And so because people are bundling and saving, you're making less. And even if you're not giving them a bundled deal, right? You are cheaper than the other options, and people are choosing you because you're cheaper. And when people choose you only because you're the cheapest option, they don't appreciate you as much. Most people don't go around talking about how amazing the new whatever thing that McDonald's comes out is and how it's so good, right? Because they don't even appreciate it. They only went to McDonald's to get something cheap and quick. You don't really appreciate it, right? But when you're going for something because you're like, this is the best fit for me, they're going to produce the best option for me, you're more likely to rave about it and be excited, right? So you have to decide, like, what do you want for your future? Now, again, like I said, I was a florist and event planner together for some time because I was indecisive. And I also, frankly, wasn't doing a super crazy number of events per year. So it wasn't that exhausting at first. When I started to really hit like that year when I was like, listen, this is what I'm going to do. This is my strategy. And I booked a whole bunch of clients. I was like, oh, this is exhausting. Right. And then I went back. I didn't necessarily knock down my floral business. I separated it. I had two separate Instagrams. I separated it for a while because I realized that the type of clients that I was attracting for my floral design were totally different from the type of clients for event planning. The clients who were interested in event planning wanted incredibly high-end stuff that I just wasn't willing to do. I don't want to have inventory of a whole bunch of love seats and all different kinds of vases, and I don't want to learn how to string stuff from the ceiling. I just don't, because that's going to take that's another place for me to put my time. And I wanted to have work-life balance. And I wanted to make more money. I don't want to know how to do every other thing under the sun while still not making money. Right. I didn't want to have to deal with cleaning vases over the weekend and, figuring out how to get the truck to and from events, like all these things I just didn't want to do anymore. So I started realizing, okay, let me just focus in one area. And that's when my business did another big leap, because the people who I didn't realize, well, I started to realize I was repelling people who I really wanted to work with. The people at the top of the market that were coming my way were just like, are you a planner or a decorator? Like, I got that question so many times. And people who asked that question never booked. They always went with someone else who only did one thing. Right. And so you have to learn to position yourself as the best, not a jack of all trades. Right. And that's part of positioning. And so for me, I can't tell you if it's time for you to split your business, because if you're still indecisive about whether you want to be a florist or an event planner, then you probably want to do both until you're sure. Right. So you're not flip-flopping. But I do think that if you want to unlock new levels, I'm not saying you can't even make money or be somewhat profitable where you are, but to unlock like new levels, you eventually, in my opinion, you do need to pick. You do need to pick. And it doesn't always feel good. The first few events that I worked on with a client where I had to take them to a floral meeting and sit through floral meetings, it was very difficult for me. listening to florists like quote things that I would have charged at like a third or a half of the price, and listening to the process, and then like, going through I'm like, they're going to execute my designs. I came up with the concept and they're going to like, it was just difficult because I wasn't used to it. But after a while, when I saw the outcome, when I saw how much more margin I had in my day and how much more time I got to spend with my clients and see the joy on their faces of how much time they got to spend with me on the event day, I was like, this is so much better. I'm so glad I did it. Right. So don't follow your feelings, follow facts, follow what's actually going to grow your business. And that's going to help you with making that decision. But I do think eventually you'll have to at least split your two businesses, if not focus on one, if you want to unlock new levels. All right. So those are some of the most commonly asked questions that I get from event planners. I hope you guys have learned something. If you're still here, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe and that you like this video. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comments because we actually respond to every single comment on this channel. So if you have a question, ask it. I'll either reply or we'll record another video that answers it for you to make sure that you get an answer. All right. I hope you guys also don't forget to check out the description box. Every single tool I mentioned is linked in the description. So you can go there to claim your free trials and your goodies and all that stuff I talked about. And of course, you can learn more about how to work with us, right? Either as an event planner who is looking to up-level your business, or as someone who's planning a corporate event or wedding. For all of that, we'd love to help with to work with you on that. All right. So enjoy this. I can't believe it. We made it to day 11. After this, we just have 3 days left in this series, and then we're going to close it out. All right. So I hope you've been enjoying this. Send this to an event planner who could use this. And yeah, and then we'll go from there.